Yo, 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 what's up, internet? My name is Jeremy Schumacher. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm the Jer in Wellness with Jer. Thanks for hanging out with me on the World Wide Web. We are back today with another song review. This one was recommended to me by my media person. Shout out to Kenny. My media person makes everything I do look nice and professional. Whether it's my social media or my website or the YouTube channel or the podcast, Your Therapist Needs Therapy. So Kenny gets to skip the line of my long list of things I'm supposed to be reviewing and jump to the front. So this is a song that's recommended to me and fits the vibe of where my brain's been at recently with the state of the world. So I'm excited to talk about it. Also falls into one of my favorite sort of quirky niche subgenres, which is overly happy sounding pop songs that have really depressing lyrics. Like The Entertainer by Billy Joel is my go-to example of like, that sounds fun, but when you listen to the words, it's not. And something about that just makes my brain light up. So we are doing Big Stick by Muna. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. They've been around for a while. They're sort of like a pop trio. They've opened for a bunch of people, like, I don't know, somebody called Taylor Swift, but also like actual good bands like Group Love. I'll never not throw shade at T Swift when I get the chance. I have a video defending her against Republicans, to be fair. But yeah, this Big Stick by Muna. We're going to see if my screen share likes me today or not. Seems okay. Let's listen together.
Make you want a matte lip and a mini skirt. Make you want a big blazer and a collared shirt. Make you want a little lift so your face is snatched. Lose 5 pounds but don't lose that bag. And you see me in the videos I post online. Don't you think it would be better if you had what's mine? Cause when I put it on I make it look super cute. So I can make you want anything that I want you to. That I want you to. That I want you to. I can make you want anything that I want you to. No, you like the back of my hand, it's true. I can make you want what I want you to.
Let's pause there. So, yeah, verse 1, I'm on board. Mesmerized the simple-minded, propaganda leaves you blinded. Like, Hypnotized by System of a Down was one of my favorite songs for a long time. So, yeah, on my bookshelf in my office at work, where I'm a real professional instead of just recording videos for the internet, I have Edward Bernays' 1928 book Propaganda. Don't quote me on the publication date. I think that's right. It's old, and again, like very obscure. I'm an incredibly nosy therapist when I get the chance to see other therapist offices, which happens sometimes because we have like consult groups and we meet up and whatever. And I always look at other therapist bookshelves, and they have all the sort of standard like self-help psych books. Like, you know, people have, I was gonna say Body Keeps the Score, but I don't want to put any shine on it. You know, The Age of Overwhelm and Come As You Are, you know, like legitimately good, helpful books, but sort of standard therapy fare. I'm always curious what books therapists have on their shelves that other people don't. And I'm not saying I'm cooler than other therapists, but I am saying my bookshelf is cooler than other therapists, because the top shelf is Mal's Handbook of the Fallen, the middle shelf is all comic books, and then the bottom shelf is like your standard therapy fare. But yeah, I have a lot of social commentary, social criticism, because I was a cultural studies minor, and that was a lot of the stuff that made what I was learning in my psych classes make sense. Edward Bernays was a philosopher, was Freud's nephew. which I think is relevant to always highlight, not because it's like, haha, nepotism, but also, I mean, partially, haha, nepotism, but more than that, to be like, yeah, the people who have shaped our culture were like, one, straight white men who may or may not have been addicted to cocaine. Looking at you, Siggy. But also, like, there's a small number of thinkers. And here I am in 2026 talking about a queer band with a non-binary person in it, and like that's awesome, right? Like that we've come a long way and we've expanded on these things. Edward Bernay's book on propaganda is not inherently critical of propaganda. But again, these ideas have been sort of coalesced in sort of a not Illuminati sort of way, and sort of a like, as we study psychology, we know that humans, I say this in therapy all the time, humans in mass are very predictable. Humans on an individual basis, very hard to predict. And capitalism and the power structures that thrive underneath capitalism don't like that unpredictability of individuals. And what this song is really talking about is the shift from mass propaganda produced in newspapers and magazines into the modern dystopia that is targeted advertising, because corporations are constantly surveilling us and trying to manipulate us through their propaganda. And the big thing is like advertising and marketing. And because we're online and because we have to agree to, 48 pages of consent that no one reads before they download an app, there are these institutions, these aggregators of data, that are tracking us online, that are following us. It used to be, I don't want to say it used to be, it still is. For a while, like Facebook was really, 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 really bad at this. And again, like I would say Facebook and Meta specifically are really offensive. But for a while, it was sort of like anytime you could talk around people, then you would start getting targeted advertising. So I always like to like bring up really inappropriate things to hopefully mess with people's marketing. I think it has gotten more targeted there because thankfully the EU has created a lot of laws that limit some of this stuff. And while we don't benefit from all of those things in America, some of these companies and corporations didn't want to fight one of their major markets, so they just sort of do things one way, where now you can like turn on cookies or turn them off. You have to accept them, you have to opt in. Again, they still get around that by like making all their cookies necessary, and there's a lot of tracking bullshit that still goes on for apps that don't need it, certainly not just when you're browsing the interwebs. And again, like if you want to learn about state surveillance, it's horrific, it's really terrible. And state surveillance and also corporation surveillance, but I would argue the corporations are always in the service of the state. So yeah, there's people who talk about it, and go over some of this stuff. It could happen here. Final Straw Radio, or some of the podcasts that I know have covered the topic recently, just on like talking about Flock and some of this other stuff that people are using. But like there's more aggregate things. Your local police are using drones on the regular, right? Like those are the largest police departments are the largest users of airspace, right? Just for drone usage now. So like this is a big problem, but certainly the targeted advertising online is a problem. You search for one thing once and start getting all those advertisements in your feeds for your social media and everywhere else. Like it's a whole thing. I have a strange sense of pride when I start getting advertisements in other languages, because I listen to so much music that isn't in English. I'm like, haha, I've tricked them to think I speak more than one language. I can maybe read a little bit of Finnish. And Latin, really useful things. Thanks, education system. But yeah, I mean, this song, verse 1, is great. It's a very poppy tune. I like sort of the upbeat nature of it. And again, like the pressures put on you by not just, I would say like it's overtly talking about influencers, but also from the perspective of, if we take it at face value, that the lead singer is singing this song to us, knowing that what they wear affects people, that people will pay your favorite band, your favorite stand-up comedian. Jay-Z wore a $5 million watch to the Met Gala, which Jeff Bezos purchased. Again, like it's not great. We're truly in dystopian levels of wealth inequality, state surveillance, and lack of choice, let alone freedom. Um, but yeah, like it's unfortunate that at every level people feel trapped by this because again, performers, musicians, throwing some shade at Taylor Swift earlier, that wasn't planned, and here we are coming a little bit full circle on it. Like, I think it sucks to have to be a performer at the level of like, I have to look nice all the time. I need to have like these outfits and this choreography and all this stuff. Like, again, in the age of, I think, the internet and also misogyny towards female performers specifically, um, not just do they have to play well, perform well, but also have to look good. And like, that's shitty. But also, I think late stage capitalism is hard where, yeah, like if you can get that bag, if you're not like billionaire wealthy, which again, is why the shade at Taylor Swift gets thrown at her. And I don't think she's that good, but separate topic. Um, there's no ethical way to have $1 billion, whether that's Jay-Z, whether that's Taylor Swift, whether that's Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, all those people have extracted their wealth from other people who have done the work. So there's no way to feel good about that. But again, like, I don't know how much money Muna has, but like, yeah, are they going to take money from maybe a corporation or a company, a contractor that they feel good about, who makes queer clothing or a brand of shoes or hair product or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. Um, I don't do that. But also, like, my main job isn't to be in front of people, right? Like, I have a full career that pays the bills. I can be stingy with things like advertising and marketing in a way where it's like, yeah, if you're a public facing um, group, like, maybe you want something like this. And also the downside of that is awful corporations like Spotify and Disney are just going around and buying up IP everywhere so that they can use this stuff. Um, there's there's a lot of depressing information out there about like our flattening of culture and creative spaces because giant corporations are buying up all of the creative spaces and turning them into intellectual property that then an artist who's just a creative human being has a really hard time breaking through. So it's like, it's manipulation on multiple levels because those artists and these performers, and I would say I hold less vitriol for those people taking a contract and marketing, but again, would maintain that people who have some sort of platform need to be aware of the power they carry, unlike the Aaron Rodgers, Pat McAfee's, Joe Rogan's of the world. Um, like that comes with certain level of responsibility, right? Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. But also now we have influencer culture, and whether that's the contrived celebrity of somebody like the Kardashian family, or your local flash in the pan TikToker, hawk to a girl, whatever else. I don't spend enough time on the internet to have a more relevant or recent reference than that. I think she had a podcast, right? I don't know. um I think influencer culture is the most sort of distilled, outright manipulative version of this. But again, I highlight like Edward Bernays and some of this other stuff from like long ago to highlight the fact that like this isn't new. The idea that capitalism takes advantage of this stuff isn't new. And the problem is not influencers. The problem is unfettered capitalism, right? Do I think influencers could do literally anything else with their lives and would be more useful? Yeah. But I feel that way about a lot of pieces of capitalism. People who work in sales. So I don't know. It's not great. It's not great that artists have to do that in order to perhaps make ends meet or feel like they have financial stability. It's not great that we, the average human beings who are commoditized and forced into being positions of being consumers, where we are both having to consume and then being consumed by these corporations as well. Like it's yucky and messy. And that's just the first verse, which are like, is a bop, and I'm here for it. But as far as social critique goes, let's go to the next verse, because that's where I really fall in love with this song. Ba, ba, ba. Maybe. if I can share my screen. There we go.
Make you want a nice house with a picket fence. Make you want 2 kids with inheritance. Make you want a ring light for self-defense. Make you wanna give money to the government, so the cops can all have military tanks to protect your nice neighborhood just in case. Cause I read all the papers and the TV shows to make you think that other people are criminals. And I control the airwaves, I control the news, so I can make you want anything that I want you to, that I want you to, that I want you to. I can make you want anything that I want you to. 'Cause I know you like the back of my hand, it's true.
Let's take a minute there. Because again, we've gone from sort of basic social critique to like propaganda is constantly working us all over. Marshall McLuhan, The Medium is the Massage. I talk about the books that I love in my office a lot. That's one that's on my coffee table because it should always be out, and I reference it often, even though it's not directly a psychology book. Um, this is where it goes from like, hey, that brand you like, or that very targeted ad you got on your social media feed, like that's bullshit. That's surveillance is how they get to you with that stuff, and it's again working us all over constantly to, oh, this is how, again, without some sort of secretive Illuminati, we don't need to be conspiratorial about this stuff to know that there are machinations. There's a system at work to get us into these places. And so it's not just what you're going to buy, but now it's whole systems with people to think about what's okay and what isn't, creating social norms of having a house and 2 kids and an inheritance. And you are failing if you're not putting money into your 401k because pensions aren't a thing anymore, because corporations and rich people found out they could make more in the stock market by not guaranteeing people's pensions and stripping away workers' rights, putting it all in the stock market, which enriches them and not the regular person. And it's a whole thing, not even my area of expertise, but like I have to know some of this stuff. And I talk about a lot of this stuff with clients. I had a conversation recently with a client, and they were just like, why does everything suck so hard? And I was like, Reagan. And like, it was a little tongue in cheek moment, but we had this full conversation about how, these things that maybe don't seem super relevant to the average person, especially from politics from years ago. Reagan left office the year I was born. So is still affecting us, right? And led to some of the things that created the financial crisis, led to the housing crisis, and has led to some of this other stuff. And like, again, who's owning the propaganda? Not just of here's an advertisement in a magazine you like, but now we're expanding that view institutionally to look at who controls the magazine. And it's a problem when the propagandists own the magazine. It's a problem when the billionaire ruling class purchases all of the media, whether it's the Ellison family buying out Paramount and Warner Bros., if that goes through or not, or it's, Bezos buying the Washington Post and running an opinion pieces against a billionaire tax. It's Zuckerberg and Bezos and Ellison and whoever else sitting behind Trump in his inauguration. Like, again, this is, if there's an ism that we can all get behind, it's the classism. Like, the class warfare has always been there and affects the other isms at an institutional level, right? Like, I think it's one of those things that messaging has been really muddied on purpose, because again, now the wealthy ruling class owns the propaganda machine, right? The outlets that create propaganda. So not just are we getting worked over by propaganda in the commercial breaks of our TV shows, but we're getting TV shows that are created to be propagandistic in nature, right? If you want to like be angry about more I don't know. I don't know that that's beneficial. If you're new to being angry about the state of the world, hello, welcome. Watching like YouTube, there's a couple different good YouTube channels breaking down like propaganda shows and how these TV shows that sort of show Law and Order or Chips or CSI and some older shows as well, even just Cops, normalize living under a police state and really sort of create this mythologized version of like right and wrong, and the police are good guys and are heroic and meant to be deferred to. Whereas, like, again, the reality is they don't solve a ton of crimes and they kill one dog a day and, you know, thousands of people a year. And like that is a problem. And then we're spending billions of dollars on them. And what they're going to do is protect the wealthy interests and specifically wealthy property more so than they're going to protect human life, which is like, again, where we're at. It's just dystopian, where we have concentration camps and people being deported, people being killed in police custody. If you want to be even more angry, another book I read, I'm just reading books that make me angry. They're not even psychology books, because again, any psych book that isn't like everything sucks, and if you think that and feel that it's because your brain is working, is not a good read for me right now. But was it what I haven't finished yet? The Coroner's Silence. I forget who the author is off the top of my head. I just picked it up. I just started it. But it's basically about how do we document and disclose information about people who die in police custody. And like, you would think there's a rhyme and reason to that, right? That sounds like a thing that like we would document. If you're somebody like me who's a therapist and spent countless hours in documentation for my clients as a healthcare provider, but then also spent like probably also thousands of hours being educated on the correct and most proper ways to do that documentation. Like, it's wild that we don't document that. And things like coroners can be super biased. And again, you're like, Jeremy, you seem real off topic here, but like, this is the institutional level where a wealthy person can buy a local government position, and a position that isn't necessarily credentialed, like a coroner might be voted on in some places. It might just be something that is selected again. So your the money that flows into your local government, then that person's going to put that coroner in charge. And again, we have such a level of overt corruption, but some of these things go back a long, long time. Again, the right-wing Republican movement in America coalesced around racism, certainly, but like Brown v. Board of Education was the rallying cry that created the right wing as we know it, which stopped making it about segregation, except it didn't, because like, look at the Supreme Court today. Stopped making that the rallying cry for their propaganda and made it about abortion and the moral majority. And I've talked at length about people like Paul Weyrich, who's sort of the architect of the Reagan administration. And again, Reagan was an actor. He was a TV propagandist. Donald Trump was a reality TV show star, question mark. It's arguably the only business venture he ever had that was successful, was his show. They're propagandists. They understand how television works, how media works. And so the right wing can like use stuff like that. It's yucky and gross, and white supremacy and Christian nationalism go hand in hand, because you can't have Christianity without white supremacy. It's a whole thing. Again, like, I'm reading a lot of things that are not fun reads, but like it all ties together. And like, yeah, how did we get here isn't some like mysterious, unanswerable question. It's sort of like these roots, these seeds were planted a long time ago, and then they took roots, and the roots connect, and now we have everything on fire and disgusting concentration of wealth. And it's not trickle down wealth, it's trickle down propaganda to make class warfare not be particularly accessible, because of what the next verse is going to get into. Look at that segue.
You want what I want you to. Make you wanna build an army and wage a war. Make you wanna show the world what America's for and how America America gives more than America takes. We give weapons to dictators in apartheid states. We give kids in Palestine PTSD, but we'll never fucking ever give them something to eat. And if you got a problem with it, you could end up in jail. Send you to Louisiana, $1 million bail. Because I have a big stick, I'm not afraid to use. So I can make you do anything that I want you to. That I want you to. That I want you to. I can make you do anything that I want you to. Know you like the back of my hand. It's true. I can make you do what I want you to.
Song's just a bop. Yeah, right. And now once the propagandists control propaganda at an institutional level, at a systemic level, then they can not just create cultural norms like you should look a certain way, right? You should want to be straight and have a family with 2 kids and the white picket fence. But now you should want to kill this person because they're not like us. They are other, they are alien, and they are a threat to us, right? The immigrant is the cause of your woes, not the billionaire who's extracting wealth from you, right? The mythical weapons of mass destruction, the fabled nuclear program that was destroyed months ago, but was still a current threat, apparently, because we just don't even need to keep track of our lives anymore, in Iran is a threat, right? And so we've made you comfortable with the police state in your own neighborhood to protect you from some sort of mystery threat. And now we're going to shift at the next level to make you comfortable with genocide. I'm doing a lot of book references because I went to the bookstore recently and picked up a lot of books. But this is from a book I'm not going to platform. But it was from a theologian who was taking a liberation perspective on Christianity, certainly. Even though I appreciate people who are still religious saying, like, with these gigantic starting point caveats that, like, this institution has been really harmful, talking about how whiteness and Christianity go hand in hand, and with, like, property ownership. Part of the reason I'm not going to platform the book is because I just can't remember what it was called. I listened to a podcast about it. I did not read the book. But it was a really good take on how whiteness in European land ownership came to be, and it wasn't really whiteness that existed then, because the European colonizing countries didn't think of themselves as white. That later came as sort of a rallying cry because of classism. But whiteness goes hand in hand with power and control, because whiteness is only defined as something by something it's not. And I work with this with religious trauma, right? I self-identify as an atheist. I don't know that atheism works well for everyone as an identity, because you're identifying as what you're not. Whereas something like pagan, spiritual but not religious, secular humanist, etc., tend to be like, oh, that defines what you are, and not what you're not. Whereas whiteness, again, is what you're not, right? What is being white? You're perhaps Irish, you're perhaps Italian, both things that weren't considered white 60, 70 years ago. You're from one of the European, your heritage is from one of the European colonizer countries. And yeah, you're a global minority, obviously, in like a shocking way, but because of the colonization, it goes hand in hand with, like, and we're better. That's the supremacy and white supremacy. But that comes from the aristocracy, the land owning class in Europe, and that also used religion as sort of a cudgel and a source of mass control. But again, I don't want to say like religion isn't a piece of it. I just say the song doesn't get into religion as propaganda. But like when you have somebody who has crusader tattoos on their body as your Secretary of Defense, I'm going to keep making this joke. Sorry to use Pete Hegseth's preferred pronouns. Secretary of War. That's like you're trying to fight a holy war. And as somebody who lived through 9/11, and I wasn't there, I was just alive when it happened. Watched it happen on a TV that got rolled into our classroom, and then that TV got rolled out so we could take a spelling bee. And had a sibling who did multiple tours in Iraq. Seeing the propaganda machine when I was still a Christian versus now when I'm no longer a Christian, and the propaganda machine seems so like painfully obvious. I doubt it was better in the early 2000s. I just don't think our social consciousness was as high. Maybe again, that's hindsight I have because my perspective has shifted so much. But I also think the internet has shifted a lot of what's available for fact checking and getting more information and getting information from the people who are being victimized by imperial powers versus just getting our information from those imperial powers. So yeah, but like that's what happens, right? This is where like classism and fascism go hand in hand. Like the ruling class will support the fascists, which we saw with the Trump inauguration. Corporations will support the fascists because they think they can make money off of it, which never pans out, but it's always what they fall into. And again, one of the other books I'm reading is, because I read a lot of books all at one time, ADHD, right? Is The Extended Universe, how Disney ruined the movies, how Disney bought and ruined the movies and tried to take over the world, or something like that. It's called The Extended Universe. It's very good. As a cultural studies minor, it's something I know a lot about because this stuff has been going on for a while here in America. But it is really interesting how, again, like somebody like Disney was anti-union and kind of a fascist. Henry Ford was an overt anti-Semite and supported Hitler. And these are major corporations that are still around that never really had any major fallout because we don't believe in accountability in this country. Beyond the carceral system, which is designed to punish poor people. Womp womp. So you need a poppy soundtrack to talk about this stuff. Otherwise, you just get sad. But like, I mean, this song covers a ton of stuff. The genocide in Palestine, that we could be dropping aid instead of dropping bombs, and instead of dropping aid, we've cut aid to the detriment of hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions already, millions within the next couple of years. Doge did that very explicitly. Very obvious, clear cause and effect. It brings up, again, like how propaganda gets to that point. It brings up that places in different states serve as fascist sort of carceral epicenters where we have, again, concentration camps actively. But even if you're a citizen, even if you're white, and again, I think we're really low on the list of people who need to be worried. We need to be the ones who are outspoken. But like, yeah, there is a risk with using your platform to speak out against this, because again, like there are places where you can either be disappeared to, or jurisdictions, or the certain court of appeals, or getting something in front of the Supreme Court right now, because it's all, part of the same root system that has grown up into supporting modern American fascism, which is deeply racist and deeply misogynistic. And so, yeah, like Louisiana has different laws for what bail can be. Different states have different laws on stuff like that. And so speaking out against wealthy interests often has more punishment attached to it than murder, rape. Again, like destroying wealthy people's property comes with a harsher penalty in a lot of states than rape does, because misogyny. Right. So I really like the song. I like the topics it covers. I like the way it approaches it. Again, I love sort of, it's not even satire. I don't have a good word for it. It's sarcasm. Again, like satire is dead. It's MAGA loves Homelander, and the showrunners had to keep making that show more and more obvious, because the idea that people would root for the Nazis is beyond the pale at this point. It's a fun turn of phrase. But yeah, this song's a bop. I've listened to some of their other songs. It's fine. It's not music that's, I'm not saying it's not my cup of tea. I'm not a huge pop listener, and for a pop band, I can do some like electronica and I can do some other things with pop, but listen to like most of the new album. It's not bad. It's just not the kind of music I like. So, but this song, very good. I like it a lot. I like the messaging of it wholeheartedly, on the content of what it's sort of getting at. Really, really good. More of this from musical artists. Again, then like art is an important, creativity is an important thing in fighting fascism. It's not the only thing. Organizing, building community. But yeah, like we need people to be outspoken. We need art like this. We need rallying cries. We need motivations, things that normalize our experience, validate our experiences, and speak out against the powers that are trying to limit that, which is why book banning is such a thing, which is why the FCC is being wielded to try and hide dissent, was why correctly elected state officials are being removed from their committees in overtly racist actions like in Tennessee. So we need stuff like this for sure. Good song. Check out this band if you're not familiar. If you want to hear me talk about other media, shows, songs, movies, I'm on like a protest music kick. So I've been on one. I've done this previously. I have multiple other songs from when I was on a protest kick last summer. So if you have other protest music, if you have other anti-fascist stuff, let me know. I think my most viewed video is a Chumbawamba song for its The Day the Nazi Died, for its very overt anti-fascist takes. Fuck them, right? And the algorithms that I'm upsetting by playing copyrighted music and swearing. Thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, do all those YouTube-y things. And yeah, take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. Peace.